Hello and welcome to the Gorgeous Goddess YouTube channel. So the topic I'm going to be talking about today is forgiveness. Forgiveness is a big topic for people because a lot of people do recognize the fact that they need to forgive something. A lot of people have come around to the idea that not forgiving is like drinking the poison and expecting the other person to die. That's one turn of phrase that I've heard about not forgiving, which is, when you don't forgive somebody, it actually does damage to you. So a lot of people are cognizant of the fact that they do want to forgive, but it's like, well, how do you go about it? And, in this video, I want to just discuss that, the topic and some of the things that might block forgiveness. But I want to start with something really important to understand about forgiveness, and it might kind of be contrary to what you've come to believe about God if you've gone through some Christian faiths. And the first thing I want to say about forgiveness is that God doesn't forgive. God doesn't forgive anyone. You don't need to go and confess your sins and be forgiven by God, because God never ever changes his or her mind about you. So if you imagine God is sitting in the spiritual realm, experiencing at all times unconditional love, and unconditional love towards you. What does unconditional love mean? It means that there's no condition you need to fulfill in order to receive God's love. So when God looks at you, God only sees the perfect being that God created. God doesn't care if you've come to this world, taken on some false beliefs, got mixed up in some lower energies, gone and done some bad stuff as what you would, experience as bad. God doesn't look at that and go, oh, so-and-so. God only sees the purity of the being that you were created as. See, once I was sitting there and I was in meditation and I was saying, okay, I know that I shouldn't have these feelings about myself of not being good enough or being flawed because of these energies that I've taken on into my being, and that these feelings and these personality traits that I've developed. So I said to God, I said to Jesus actually, hey, well, how do you see me? How do you see me? And the answer that came really was just so beautiful, and said, I see you as a perfect being burdened by illusions. And I was like, okay, wow, that's cool. And the great thing about that, a perfect being burdened by illusions, is illusions are not real. Okay? So all the stuff that you may feel like God might hold against you, God sees that as an illusion that burdens you and doesn't think it's real. It's just one day you're going to see through it and it will be gone. And that's what God is waiting for. So it doesn't matter what you do here. You could be possessed by demons and like doing the worst things your brain could imagine, and God will still hold that being with unconditional love and unconditional positive regard. So God doesn't forgive, okay? Because God never ever goes into any vibration that God would need to return back to unconditional love. So what is forgiveness then? So forgiveness is, somebody has done something and your internal feeling towards that person has shifted out of unconditional love and gone into a lower vibration. You've got a judgment against that person, or you've got you're not sending them love anymore like at the beginning. You're sending them something lower. It could be hatred or contempt or just annoyance. And so forgiveness is returning back to that. So, I think there's many levels to forgiveness, okay? At the beginning, when you're first learning to forgive, you could maybe buy yourself off with just going, well, I'm not going to be angry anymore, okay? I'm not going to keep thinking about it anymore. I'm just going to let it go. And then you think you're done, okay? Because you're not holding this vibration of anger. But that's really just kind of just skimming on the surface of forgiveness. Well, true forgiveness is to actually going back to having in your being, in yourself and towards the other person, as if that thing never happened. And this is why forgiveness is so difficult, because if you think about, hey, this person, and what you're trying to forgive might be really, really, by the standards of society and even, it might be bad, right? And so you're going, hold on a second, how am I supposed to be like this never happened? And, the things that actually block our forgiveness, there's different things that we want to maybe communicate to the world or do that actually block forgiveness. So the first thing is, let's say somebody is mistreating you. So you might go into a reaction of hurt, right? You might go into a reaction of hurt and a reaction of, I'm being hurt, I'm being mistreated, and you might want to communicate that to another person. You hope that they have some empathy, that they see you in hurt and that they stop. Okay? So a lot of the time we try to signal that we have been hurt and we're in pain. And another thing we try to signal is actually, hey, the thing that you're doing is not okay. So when we go to forgive, sometimes what gets in the way is, well, I don't really want to be returned to how I was as if this never happened, because then I'll be signaling that this thing that happened wasn't really that bad. I wasn't really hurt. We want to hold on and we want to keep signaling it. But in forgiveness, you do want to let go of all of the energy that you created in response to this event. You could still know in your mind that this was a nice thing, but energetically, you do need to give up those feelings of hurt and those feelings that you were hurt, because, a lot of people might not want to hear this, but, in a simple truth, let's call it, is that people can hurt your body, but the things that you do inside your mind, a person can never hurt you in your mind, They can do something that has elicited a reaction in you, but the reaction was created by you, right? So the hurt that was caused to you, you've actually caused to yourself. That's a really harsh thing to hear, but actually it's really liberating, right? Because what it means is that you can put yourself back to how you were before, as if none of that stuff happened, right? So why would you want to do this? Why would you want to let go of her? Why would you want to let go of this signaling to the other person that what you did is really bad? And, the reason is because while ever you're holding that energy of being hurt, you're really, every time you're focusing on it, or sometimes even when you're not focusing on it, but it's still there in your being, you're actually sending energy out into the world at that vibration. You're actually attracting more hurt to you. Because see, we think that the way the world works is somebody does something that I don't like, and I go into a negative vibration of anger or hurt, and then they go and look at that and go, ooh, that was a bad thing to do, I'm going to stop what I'm doing. We think that by having this reaction, we're actually protecting ourselves. We're making sure that thing's never going to happen to us again. But the way it actually works is when you go into that reaction of hurt or anger, what you're doing is you're saying to the universe, hey, I am creating in my life the experience of hurt and anger. Please send me more people just like that person. Please send me another abuser, another person who's going to take advantage of me. Come on, because I'm choosing to hold this vibration, and this is what I'm creating in my life. So forgiveness and wiping all this away is actually liberating yourself. What you're saying internally, and what you can say to the energies in you that are going to really protest when you try to wipe this all away. And you can say, listen, I now understand that the way the universe works is whatever vibration I hold in my being is what I am creating and what I am attracting to myself. So I can restore myself to pure joy and pure happiness, and and not let an ounce of hurt inside me. And that is the way that I'm going to keep myself safe from anything like that happening to me again. Because you see, when you first come into a body and you're looking at what's going on in the world, and you don't know that but through your focus and through what you hold in your attention, you're creating a reality. When you first come here, you're creating realities all over the place, and you're putting things into your being, and you're holding vibrations by accident, right? Because you don't know what you're doing with your focus and your attention and your consciousness. And so you accidentally create these reactions, and those reactions go and attract more and more and more. Okay, but when you know that that's what you're doing, your focus starts to become, hey, how do I hold only purity? How do I hold only that I actually cannot be hurt? How do I hold only joy? You actually have to let go that you've been hurt. And it doesn't mean that, what happened wasn't significant. It doesn't mean that what happened wasn't a negative experience, okay? But it is safe now. It's safe now to return your being to how you were before this happened, okay? And it's actually what you want to do that because that's the reality you want to experience now. See, now that you know more about your mind and about your focus, and even you've probably heard about the law of attraction, that you attract to you. Now that you know all this, that's why pure and total forgiveness is what you are very interested in. So you do have to give up the way you thought before about signaling to the other person that this is unacceptable, because when you shift your vibration, that stuff's not going to happen to you the way that it can. You're just not a beacon for it. You're not attracting it anymore, right? And look, and when you understand that this is what happened to you, that you almost got tricked into reacting, through your different lifetimes here, you didn't know what you were doing. You created these lower vibrations that you then experience the world through. When you have some understanding of that, you actually can have compassion for the other person. That the person that you perceive as hurting you, they are too trapped. Just like you're trapped in the hurt and it feels like you can never give it up. Whatever internal experience and vibration caused that person to do those things to you, that person is equally trapped in. And most likely, any actions that hurt you were come from deep pain within. So how do you let go of that person being so bad? I mean, you could look at them as a perfect being trapped by illusions, and trapped by illusions that are really hurting them, and trapped by illusions that they're fighting against and railing against, and they're not having a good time. Well, anyway, look, I hope that's given you a different perspective about forgiveness. There was a lot in this video. You could probably turn this video into 10 separate videos looking at each of these concepts in depth. So let me know if there's any parts that you resonated with, or parts that you didn't like and disagree with, or you'd like to hear more about, and we can talk some more.